Diablo 4, we are back. It has been a while, and I wanted to get my thoughts out there about some of the stuff going on here. We've had a lot of campfire chats going on. We've had a lot of talk in the community about diving into Season 2. I recently took a trip to Blizzard headquarters in California. Had a lot of fun. Got to hang out with some of my friends who are content creators like Diablo 4. Spent a lot of time with him chatting and hanging out. So lots has been going on, building my own games behind the scenes. I took a job as a game developer recently a couple months ago. So things have been crazy, but there is a lot to talk about when it comes to Diablo 4. And if this is going to bring back some of the excitement, bring back the player base, and get people like me who have fallen off a little bit on Diablo 4 recently, am I going to be thinking about diving into Season 2, and is it enough to bring the excitement back into the game? Let's get into it. And a massive shout out to Bloodline Heroes of Lethos for sponsoring today's video. And this game takes RPGs and gacha gameplay to a whole new level because of their air system, where you can create your own unique legendary champions by combining the bloodlines of elves, demons, demigods, orcs, dwarves, lycans, dragonborn, vampires, etc. And it is absolutely free to play. You can download it now via the QR code that you see on the screen or down below with the link I've provided. The game is designed with stunning graphics to provide a top-tier visual experience on mobile phones or tablet devices, where you can enjoy collecting fantasy characters in full 3D graphics. Customize your champions by marrying any two bloodlines to create over 4,000 fantasy hybrids until you find a unique combination of powerful abilities out of dozens of traits that suit your own playstyle, which means there are endless possibilities for your lineups and matchmaking strategies. Now, the hybrids inherit not only the talents and traits of their parents, but also their unique appearances passed down from each family tree and fused into one. New bloodlines with unique abilities and companion forms for each gender are released every 2 weeks, introducing the new bloodline, the Thunderlords, who look to be an incredible powerhouse. And the game is constantly being improved and updated with brand new content, and the fun of creating new hybrid combinations never ends. As you can see by taking a look at one of the game's most impressive champions, the Lionstone. And there is also very rewarding late game PvP where all players can obtain uniquely designed hybrid champions, Bloodcraft legends, by earning points in seasonal guild wars. So get ready to raise heirs with companions and waifus. You can switch gender of your companions freely, build your own kingdom and economy with strategic gameplay, and also enjoy beautiful scenes and interesting storylines. Download the game now for free on both Android and iOS, or use the link in the description. Also, scan the QR code if you are viewing on a PC. And while using my link, you're going to get a special starter pack worth $20 that gives you 1 summoning crystal, 100,000 gold, and 100 diamonds. But not only that, the first 30 players to leave their in-game account ID and username in the comment section below will receive a free legendary female succubus champion, the Luxuriant, one of the best mages to carry you in the game. So massive thank you to Bloodline Heroes of Lethos. Now let's get back into the video. Okay, so you've all seen this ad nauseum, the different charts that people have talked about revolving around the metrics in Diablo 4, where we've got, you know, like the 99% of players a loss, and that's from charts like Google Trends, where the popularity went from 100 down to like 3 or 4. Right now it's sitting at 4, so you can technically look at this and say that Diablo 4 has lost about 96% of its internet web traffic velocity. And if we go ahead and we add in a Diablo 3 here, Diablo 3 in red, a Diablo 4 in blue, and let's go ahead and make this a little bit more condensed. Let's go past 90 days so we can see the spikes from seasons and stuff. So yeah, you'll see like when Diablo 3 spiked up a little bit from 2 to 4 and doubled, that's going to be coinciding with the new season that was launching. They kind of talked about how this is going to be the last time Diablo 3 gets new content, and they got a pretty decent bump there because of that. What I'm curious to see is what is going to be the bump for Season 2 on Diablo 4. I think Diablo 4 is close. When the game first was coming out, I said in basically all of my content that Diablo 4 is a 6 or a 7 out of 10, 6.5, something like that, because the canvas is there. It has a solid base in terms of the aesthetic and the sound and how it looks and feels, and going back to its darker Diablo 1, Diablo 2 roots. It's very gritty and grimy and dark fantasy. So I like the canvas. It's just, it really needed to be fleshed out. I think the game came out about 6 months before it was truly ready. It needed to bake in the oven for about 6 more months, because now I think what the game is going to be on a season 2, I think this is what Diablo 4 should have been on release. But what ends up happening with these games is they have a lot of pressure. I mean, these are big budget projects. There's probably somewhere between 100 and 200 million dollars spent in total on Diablo 4 when it comes to development cost, marketing, and all that type of stuff. So obviously, if you're spending hundreds of millions of dollars, there's going to be a lot of pressure to start actually collecting some profit on that. So we end up seeing games come out 3 to 6 months usually before they're ready, and they should have been in production a little bit longer. But when things cost this much, you do want to start generating that revenue and get the game out there. And then it kind of got compounded a little bit, because when Diablo 4 was released, they had really hyped up how they wanted to do seasons right out the gate. They didn't want people to have to wait a year or two like they did in Diablo 3 for seasons to be a thing, because obviously in ARPGs, Path of Exile, Diablo, it's always the ladder resets, the seasons, the leagues that really hype up the player base and get everybody kind of starting from the same point and racing against each other. That ends up breathing life into these different communities. And usually, not always, there's different people that have different opinions, but usually the thing that breathes the most life into these games and communities in the ARPG genre is seasonal resets. But in order for that to be a thing, you need to be providing significant seasonal content. And the problem that Diablo 4 had was, like, it was a good thing that they wanted to try to do a season right out the gate. I remember before the game came out, I was kind of hyping that up. I was like, wow, this is really cool that they're going to be doing a season pretty close to the launch of the game, and we're not going to have to wait a year or two for seasons. But the downside of that was they didn't have enough time to really make season 1 super significant. They brought like the Malignant Hearts and some random stuff, but it wasn't enough to make the player base go, wow, this is crazy. I'm super excited to reset my account and do all this stuff again and dive into season 1. There just wasn't enough there. So they didn't quite hit the mark of bringing seasons soon enough after launch and making them significant enough to really drive a decent amount of hype. And you can see that here in the chart for season 1. There really wasn't much of a bump. We saw it go from 100 down to about 48. And then the season 1 bump, I mean, it brought it up a couple percent and then kind of dove off pretty quickly. There wasn't a super hyped up moment around season 1 like we would have kind of expected if it would have been more significant content. But all in all, the developer chats and the campfire chats have been overall dubs, I would say, overall wins. It was actually super cool. I got to see the room at Blizzard where they do the campfire chats and hang out and talk with some of the guys there. A lot of fun. They were all super nice and super cool. So anything I ever say critical about Diablo 4 is not from a place of hate. It's because I love Diablo and I want Diablo 4 to be an epic, amazing game. So I'm going to try to keep it real and bring criticism that will help make that a reality. So it's not because I hate Diablo 4 or anything like that if I ever criticize or rant or anything about the game. And overall, like I said, I think season 2 is gonna be, it's definitely gonna be the best that Diablo 4 has been yet. For me personally, is it enough to make me dive in and really go hard in the paint and upload build guides and grind the game 8 hours a day? You know, I guess it's still up in the air. I've got a trip coming up to TwitchCon here in a few days. And when I'm there, I'm going to be hanging out in an Airbnb with my good friend Veiled Shot, who is an amazing Diablo creator. I'm going to be seeing DM Diablo 4, and I'll have an opportunity to talk with some people and see how people are feeling heading into season 2. And if I have content creators and friends to play with and some people to grind with, maybe I'll give it a go and see how it's going in terms of uploading content and see if there's a demand there for more Diablo 4 content, what the charts are looking like, and how things are seeming. For me personally, I always kind of said that season 3 was going to be what does does it for me, because I think season 3 is going to be when they introduce some more of the clan stuff and more of the leaderboards, and maybe like a solo self-found leaderboard, something like that. That would be a lot of fun for me to dive in and grind and pursue. Now, I know that's a hot take, and I get roasted for this every time, and people go, I don't give a damn about leaderboards. Shut up about the leaderboards. I'm just talking about me. That's what I like. I like the competitive nature of pursuing and ranking myself against the rest of the player base and being able to see, am I top 25%? Am I top 40%? I just like being able to categorically see where I rank. I play Age of Empires 4, and I really enjoy seeing what my ELO score is and where I rank within the player base. That's just, for me personally as a gamer, something I get enjoyment out of. So season 3 is probably going to be when that happens. That'll probably be the moment that I'm most hyped up about. But they are doing some really cool things. They're fixing resistance. They're fixing some of the stuff with the inventory. They're having things like auto turn into materials without you filling up your inventory with yellows in 15 seconds while you're running Nightmare Dungeons. The uniques are going to be a lot more realistic. And just overall, I think that Diablo 4 is finally going to be like a live, real game now. It's going to feel like this is what the game should have been on release. And if it was, it would have been received a lot more positively. And this chart that you see going down so fast would have definitely been tapered off, and it would have died a little bit slower if the game was what it is on season 2. If the game was like just now coming out, if it was launching at BlizzCon, if Diablo 4 was coming out as a BlizzCon launch, it would have gone 100 times better than it went launching a long time ago while the game still needed to bake for a few months. So yeah, I'll be keeping my ear to the ground and seeing what's going on. I know we have a Warcraft Rumble coming out soon as well. That's another game that I kind of want to take a look at and see what's going on in that space, because that's another Blizzard game in the vein of like Clash Royale and some of that. And I do kind of enjoy playing those games on the side for fun. So we'll see if that ends up grabbing my attention, or if season 2 ends up being something that I grind super hard. I'll probably conduct a poll over on the channel too. I'm curious for all of you, and if season 2 is enough to bring you back. So let me know in the comment section as well. And sorry I was gone for a while. Lots of stuff going on, but it's no excuse. I do want to be better about uploading here on this channel and interacting with all of you, because I appreciate all the subscribes and all of the love that we've gotten here covering Diablo 4 since its release so far. So have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you all soon in the next video. Thanks. Peace.